Hello, all you wonderful women out there in website Wonderland. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. And it's 9 o'clock in Israel, whatever time zone you're in. I know we have the holiday of Pesach, a holiday of Passover on our minds. And to get us ready, to get us going in these next weeks, because in a few days we have Rosh Chodesh Nisan. That's the first day of Nisan in the new month, because in the Jewish calendar we calculate the month by the beginning, which is at night. We take the new moon and count from there, and in just a few days we're going to have that new month. And we are still in Adar, so I'm going to get out my balloons. If you remember from my last conference call, we discussed joy and having fun and making sure we create fun and laughter and good things and positivity and gratitude in our world. And I mentioned that I love to do that with balloons, and I love to do that with fireworks, and I like to do that with bubbles. And we're transitioning into a very intense month. The holiday of Passover, we know, is when Pharaoh finally let the Jews go from under slavery and let them go and wander out in the desert. And we have a very interesting passage describing this, which will bring us right into what it is that we want to be looking at, which is breathing and slowing down and breathing deeply. You know, when people say take a deep breath, I tend to say the opposite. Let out a deep breath and now inhale. Because when we're frightened, when we're shocked, if we hear a big slam or a noise or something, we go and then we hold our breath. What we really want to be doing when we notice we're holding is actually just calm down, let go, let it out, let go of whatever it is that we're tense on, whatever we're holding on to. And then once we've let it go, then we can focus on taking in a nice, slow, deep breath and starting fresh, starting new, bringing in something wonderful and more calming into our world. But in the world when the Jews were in slavery and they were enslaved and they were in hardship, there's a phrase that I'm going to read to you from this portion. It's from Vayera, and it's chapter 6, verse 9. And we read, וידבר משה כן אל בני ישראל, ולא שמעו אל משה מקצר רוח ומעבודה קשה. So what's קצר רוח? So when we look in the Chumash and we study, what does it mean katsar ruach? There are a few different possibilities what it means. But one common translation, katsar meaning short, and ruach is usually translated as breath. It is one of the levels of spirit. So we have nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, and yechida, going up the chain of the more and more subtle levels of spirituality. When God breathed life into first man, it said he breathed the ruach into Adam's nostrils. He breathed in, Hashem blew into the nostrils. So for one, we can learn from that our ideal breath is coming from the nose. Our mouth is for eating and speaking. Keep it closed when you're breathing. Breathe in through the nose. If you were to check, this is the hand position that we take in yogic breathing. We close the first two fingers and then we hold the nose on one side and then the other nostril on the other side. And we do alternate nostril breathing. I'm not going to teach too much of that right now, but inhale and hold. And then exhale through the other side. At any time with any fingers, you should always have two nostrils clear. If that's difficult for you, we do have a couple of solutions, among which is a doTERRA essential oil called Breathe, and this is a respiratory blend, and just simply inhaling it by your nose or putting a little bit on a cotton swab with some olive oil first on the cotton swab so it's not too intense, and just putting that near or into your nostril can help you breathe more deeply. And the wonderful thing about all the doTERRA oils is they always make us want to breathe more deeply, but we should always have an open passageway on each side. So when the children of Israel were told by Moses that they were going to be leaving the slavery, what happened? What is katsar ruach? What does it mean? They were short of breath, so they didn't hear him. So we have some translations, and Sforno teaches us that they were short of breath and therefore they could not hear. Well, the hard work may have made them tough, or may have made them angry-spirited, may have made them resistant to, excuse me, may have made them resistant to what Moses wanted to give them. But Katzar Ruach tells us when we're not breathing deeply, when we're not fully engaged in our breathing, we're not at a high level, we're not ready for our spirituality. And we'll discuss that later with what yoga can do for each of us and what meditation does for all of us. And I want to continue with please feel welcome to post your questions also. I want to continue with this idea of God breathing into the nostrils of the first man, because the Ruach is the breath. And a very similar word to that, we're going to tie in Ruach, is Resh Vav Chet, and Reach, which means smell, is Resh Yud Chet. Now we're going to play around with a little bit of numerology. We're going to look at some letters. We're going to look at the meanings and the size and symbols of the letters. But let's go back to this understanding of Adam and the Ruach and the Reach, and the Ruach being in breath. It all ties together, and I keep saying going back to, but it's one whole big interactive picture. So I hope by the end of this call, not only you'll be inspired to do your yoga, not only you'll be inspired to try to stand on your head, and I have some videos about that for you, learning to stand on your head and do headstand. And you'll be doing some meditation, whether you're doing closed eye, open eye, walking meditation, or silent sitting meditation in the dark. It's also all about the breathing. When we inhale and exhale, our slow, silent, deep breaths, we get in touch with ourselves, we feel our heart, we listen to the still, small voice that speaks to us between the in-breath and the out-breath. The still, small voice is in the pause between the breaths, and when we get in touch with our breathing, we can be more in touch with the quiet and the voice that speaks back to us with our answers to our prayers that comes during the meditation. But jumping again into this Ruach, what does it mean? What is going on? And then I'll tell you a story that we learned from Kabbalah about the Ruach and the Reach, the spirit and the breath, and the smell, and how they all come together, and why the doTERRA oils are so amazing, because the breathing, that's elevation, the joyful blend, and the smell brings us to happiness, brings us to a higher sense of spirituality. So of the three lower levels of spirit that we all are more in touch with, and some people never even get in touch with those levels, we have Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama. Then we're not going to deal with the highest two levels right now, just these three lower levels. And the breath, when we inhale, we feel inspired. What does it mean to be inspired? Oh, I have this creative freedom. I got this great idea. I was so inspired to X, Y, or Z. I was inspired to take a jog. I was inspired to make a phone call. I was inspired to, we don't usually say inspired to take a nap. Inspired usually means to go out and do something. We got a hit of creativity. A lot of times we don't even know where it's coming from. It was just out of the blue. Well, where's the blue? The blue's up there. It's the sky. It's something coming down to us like a gift, an inspiration. So when we breathe in, we inspire. We're breathing in spirit. We're taking spirit into us. And that's very profound, especially if you flip it around. What is expire? Well, we don't usually think of expired being to exhale. But expired, if you're past the due date, if the eggs or the milk or the cheese is expired, don't be consuming it, don't be eating it, don't be drinking it, because what's gone? What expired? The date? No, the date didn't expire. The date is an expiration date. That means that the life force has gone out of it. So we don't usually think of fruit having an expiration date, but you certainly know when it's done. The life force is out of it. The banana is too dark to eat. The carrot gets, kind of wobbly. The apple is brown, and we know it's expired. It's past edible. It's lost itself. So inspire is to take in spirit. Expire is spirit is not with us anymore. So when a person is casting off the planet, their spire, their spirit has exited. Very, very fun and powerful to think about these things. I love playing with the words, and the Hebrew is also tremendous. The inspire and expire is not exactly the way we say it. Neshama is a level of spirit, and neshima is the word to mean the breath. And it's right in there. Ponder it. What is raising your level of awareness, raising your consciousness, raising your level of spirituality have to do with breathing? Everything. Really, the secret is right in there. If you're listening to this live, put up your questions. If you're listening to this later, write to me, please. Ponder this, play with this. And there's no better time for practicing your breathing than now. Musicians know this, because you have to inhale, and then if you're playing a bugle or you're playing a clarinet or playing a wind instrument, the breathing has to be a part of your life. If you're singing, you need to catch the in-breath and then put all the melody out, and then catch the in-breath and put all the melody out. If you're an athlete, if you're jogging, if you're swimming, all of these things, they all take breath. So does living every day. Just spontaneously, I'm going to include this. I stopped by a friend's house on Friday afternoon, and I had with me my favorite spiritual oils, plus a few more that aren't in my hand right now. And I knocked on her door and I said, "Hi, I just had this feeling, maybe you need a hug and to smell some oils." And I know she's familiar with the oils because we have a mutual friend who does yoga classes and who shares her oils. And I knocked on the door and I went in, and she said, "How did you know? How did you know to come to me right now? I had such a hard week. I was really struggling, and I wanted to go to the emergency room. I couldn't breathe. I was short of breath. And you felt me, you sensed me, and you came along, and I put the oils, I'd open them one by one, and I was putting them on her neck and a little under her nose, and giving her a shoulder rub and lots of hugs and love and just nurturing. And we did speak Motzei Shabbat, and she said she had a great Shabbat, and she felt like she had her life force back, and she really had felt like she lost it. So what breathing can do, and also what the oils can do. Here we have. I actually came back home and filled up a couple of little tiny bottles. They're like the size of my thumbnail. She wanted to forgive because she knew that was big for her, and forgive, just to smell it, to hold it under our nose. The oils, again, I'll say it over and over and over, they bring breath into us. The oils are so deep and so profound. I think the other one that she asked me to put in a bottle for was balance. They make us breathe deeply. They bring us in touch with our spirit, and they get our mind open. They get our mind working, because a brain that's not oxygenated is a brain having a stroke. or it's a brain that's dying, or it's a brain that's dead. We need oxygen to breathe. I learned once in some of the coursework that I was doing on holistic health, I think it was it was John Grinder and Richard Bandler from teaching neurolinguistic psychology. Now that's a brain that works. Baruch Hashem. Okay, pulled that one out from 30 years ago. The brain, this was the phrase, the brain is an oxygen hog. It's an oxygen pig. It takes 80% of the oxygen that we inhale goes to the brain. That only leaves 20% for the rest of the body, the organs, the muscles, liver, lungs, kidneys, all the digestive system, and the blood that needs the oxygen. The blood carries the oxygen, but the brain takes it all. The brain uses it first. Now, I don't know about you, but that inspires me to want to breathe more deeply, to take in more oxygen, to breathe in more, exhale more. I'm selfish. I want my brain to work better. You know, Daniel Amen, Dr. Amen, you know, look him up online. He's a brain scientist. He has a great phrase. He says he's doing PET scans all the time. These are not CAT scans, but PET scans of looking into the brain of healthy and unhealthy patients. And he says, you know, I have brain envy. I want to have a really big brain. I want to have a really good brain. I want to have a really high functioning brain. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I get it. I had no intention of talking about neurolinguistic psychology. I guess that's the fun of doing a video live streaming instead of talking on a conference call where I can have notes, but we won't get into that. Thank you all for being here. It's an honor and a pleasure to be able to do all this off the cuff. The brain needs the oxygen. And when we don't have it, like my friend who was having a difficult few days before I saw her on Friday afternoon as she was preparing for Shabbat, she didn't want to live. She just like, you know, take me to the ER. I can't breathe. So my work is reminding all of us that the opposite side of feeling depressed is breathe more, take on more life. When you can catch yourself breathing shallow. Now, I'm talking, and I'm talking and talking and talking nonstop. That can make my breath a little shallow, but throughout the day, I try to catch myself and remind myself, exhale, let it out. Inhale, take it in, exhale. Oh, let me grab an oil that I will have make me breathe more deeply. Because again, these are going to cause us to want to breathe more deeply. Now I'm talking about the emotional oils, oh, here they are sitting next to me. Gotta inhale. To exhale and blow some really good bubbles. Maybe that's another reason I love them, because they make me breathe deeply. There's a whole nother set of oils that we use, and those are right here by my side. And I'm going to transition and talk about without pouring these out of my little box, these are the cooking oils. There are other oils that can be used in cooking, but I'm going to list the ones I have here. I have cilantro, marjoram, coriander, rosemary, those I think you've heard of, oregano, thyme, black pepper, lemongrass, lemon, lime, and bergamot. Those were all the citruses. Cinnamon, clove bud, and cassia. And did I mention cardamom? Very, 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 very special. So depending what I'm cooking, depending what I'm doing, all of these have a smell, but they also have tremendous, amazing healing properties, from antispasmodic, antiviral, antibacterial, and so many, many, many other benefits to helping the body when we take them internally. Please come and watch, by the way, my online Welcome to Yachad's Kitchen. come in my kitchen with me and we'll do some cooking and I'll work with the oils. We like to add them at the end of the cooking process. We don't want to cook away the essential oil potential of the healing. And I want to mention too, because this has been asked over and over, and I think I'm going to reach over here and get the book that I like to use. I prefer to use the coffee table book. We also have the Modern Essentials spiral bound book, and this exact can be found in an app on the phone. In fact, I'm going to show you what that looks like if you want to download that. Let me see if I can get that on the screen at the right angle without too much glare. There we go. Maybe you can see it now. It says Modern Essentials, and it's it's an amazing user's guide to essential oils. But when we look, again, people have asked, oh, you know, what's the science behind it? So I'd like to show you and have you make yourselves welcome to studying here or anywhere. All of the terpenes and the alcohols and all of the chemical structure and the sesquiterpenes, all of the anti-inflammatory and antifungal, all the ketones and the aldehydes, all of these esters, all of these are scientifically studied, shown. The molecular structure right here, the chemistry that has been proven. This is not, forgive the term, this is not witchcraft. This is women's wisdom. This is ancient wisdom. This is healing wisdom against pain and against so many diseases, cancers. There are 11 spices that we know that are from the we say in Hebrew, the Beit HaMikdash, the temple. And the Kohanim, the big kahuna, he had the responsibility of making sure that the correct spices were burning in the correct measures, or it was absolutely, not only was it inviolate, not only was it unusable, the preparer was subject to death. So we hope they took it very seriously. We don't know for sure all of these 11 by name. We think we know some of them. We think we know a lot of them, but we're not sure of all of them. But I can tell you that of the ones that we know, I do have at least half of them in my collection, and I use them. I can just reach over here and you can hear me clanking around. I say they're like marbles. You know, I have them all in these different bags, and they clank and they rattle. And you know, in the kitchen is all the cooking oils. Oh, I think I have over here it's always there. It's not just for the video, but that's my diffuser. You can see hanging out over there probably with balance in it. It's a great oil. That's one of the emotional blends. This is frankincense. Now again, it's so difficult for me to separate the meditation and the spirituality and the breathing and the food and the oils, because they're inseparable. I'm just gonna wipe a little bit from the side of the bottle here. The frankincense is one of the oils that was most prominent, along with myrrh. It was most prominent in the temple, used for many degrees of healing, and it has been subsequently studied. Oh, I just opened my book and I flipped to black pepper, which I told you is one of the cooking oils. And I want to mention that black pepper's primary use is against tobacco addiction. Aside from the fact that it's analgesic, anti-catarrhal, anti-inflammatory, antiseptic, antispasmodic, antitoxic, aphrodisiac, expectorant, laxative, rubefacin, and a stimulant for the nervous, circulatory, and digestive systems. Sorry for the distraction, but now you know what you can get from using black pepper in your cooking. But let me just move along to frankincense and explain to you that in the temple times, somehow this knowledge was known. Frankincense has a property of being anticatarrhal, anti-cancer, antidepressant, anti-infectious, anti-inflammatory, antiseptic, anti-tumor, expectorant, immune stimulant, and sedative. This is not Baba Mises. This is not just words to fill a book. This has been studied, and if you see this page, here we go, is the beginning, and then over here we have all the additional research. The fact that this is anti-tumor and anti-cancer has been studied extensively. Am I suggesting that someone should not take other treatments and just go for a little bottle of frankincense? Perhaps not, if that's not your belief system, but I can tell you personal experience when I recently was told to take antibiotics, and I didn't want to take that choice, and the doctor said yes, and I said, well, let me go home and try my oils. And I was using a blend that's known to be, this is the protective blend, it's called On Guard, and I was taking On Guard and frankincense and oregano and thyme and many, many others, all on my feet and internally, and topical antibiotics and no internal antibiotics. They really, not only do they make us breathe deeply, the frankincense is one of the highest spiritual oils I can say on the planet, because if we believe that the Jewish temple was brought down from God's word, and the temple was where we connected with God from the ancient times in the first temple and in the second temple, and please God, the third temple soon, very soon. If you want to elevate yourself and you want to breathe deeply and you want to feel connected, your avodah may be kasha, maybe you have hard work, maybe you have many children, maybe it's not an easy time, and it's right before the holiday of Passover, the 8 days when the kitchen gets changed over beforehand and all the dishes and all the foods and everything, and women are working very, very hard. And maybe many of you are working very, very hard with your children all the time, or with your job, or with your life, or with your spouse, and to keep things nice, and helping out in your community, and all the wonderful things that all the wonderful women out there in website Wonderland are doing. Take care of yourself, and if you can't remember to breathe deeply, please give yourself the gift. Buy yourself essential oils, carry them around, have them with you, even if it's just one in your purse. You know, sometimes I only have the frankincense. Other times I just have forgive. You can see I'm either using a lot of it or giving a lot of it away. In the past couple of days, I actually gave little sharing bottles to a few friends. Carry your oils with you. Breathe deeply. Go on about your journey with gratitude, with love, with contentment, and really with understanding and appreciation for other people's struggles. That's the biggest challenge. I think one of the biggest challenges, not just to forgive others, but to forgive ourselves. We've made mistakes. We haven't always done it the easiest way. We may have done things that have been insensitive. So when we're hurting and we're maybe fighting with someone else, like this friend of mine was with her spouse, and things weren't easy, she said, yeah, I need to forgive. And I said, you need to forgive yourself. And we do. So take it easy on yourself, love yourself, take care of yourself. Remember to do the little things like brush your teeth and wash your face before you put the children to bed, in case you fall asleep in their beds, because you are precious. And if you're not taking care of yourself, Who is? There are a lot of people counting on you, but you need to stop and take care of yourself. Put the lavender essential oil into your bath. Here we have lavender. It's the best, most amazing lavender I have ever smelled, and I've been using essential oils for a long time. Enjoy that. Put a few drops in the bath. Put some salt in the bath, some Epsom salts or some sea salts. Put on a candle, turn off the light, do something precious for yourself. Although you're busy, although you're hustling and you're bustling and you're shopping and still doing carpool and everything else, perhaps, women, stop and nurture yourself. If you're having emotional moments, pull out the yoga mat. Whatever it is, pull out the yoga mat. Emotions, pull out the yoga mat. 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the afternoon. May sound silly, but it can transform your life. Stretch up, stretch sideways, stretch your neck, look the other way. Do some chair yoga. Turn around, turn your neck, turn the other way. Breathe. Turn your neck. Inhale, exhale. You can put your arms over your head when you wake up. Stretch to one side, stretch to the other side. Give yourself a big hug and be forgiving and gentle and loving and sensitive to yourself first. And then you have a full heart when you take care of yourself and you have enough to give it away. If your bucket of love is not full in your own world, it depletes you to give to others. So keep yourself full, keep yourself nourished, drink healthy tea, drink enough water, and take good care of yourself.